Okay. So I actually have a PowerPoint which I will be happy to share with everybody, but I'm going to skip. Oops, wrong PowerPoint. That was the e-signature PowerPoint, in case anyone wants that. So let's see. I'm going to move. All right. Did I lose anyone?
No.
Okay, good. All right. All right. So you all know what metadata is and why it's such a big deal. And this is a program I do for lawyers who are still remarkably unaware of metadata. I thought we had talked about this enough, but no, we have not. So if you ever are wondering, should I do another program about metadata? Oh, we've done so many of those. Go ahead and do it again, because they're still fairly clueless. So I have all the metadata opinions, the nice chart that Josh did, kind of how the metadata opinions match up to the rules of professional conduct. Some about metadata and e-discovery, and the DC Bar opinion does the best job, in my opinion, of putting the dividing line between kind of lawyer-to-lawyer, non-litigation, inadvertent disclosure issues, and then going over to the e-discovery side. And so I try to explain to them, okay, when you're talking about I accidentally forwarded a contract with a bunch of track changes from my client to the other side, there's the metadata rule that kicks in for that. But then if you're talking about e-discovery, you want to request metadata in native format, because if you're not, you're actually probably not confident. So that breaks them out a little bit.
Catherine?
And then I've got all these, yes?
I'm sorry, quick question. You said which bar metadata opinion was best?
And I'll give you this this slide deck, but it's the DC Bar opinion.
Okay.
DC Bar opinion 341. And I'm showing you the speaker notes.
I'm sorry, I was taking notes instead of looking at the screen.
No, I'll send you the slide deck. I'll send you the slide deck with the speaker notes and everything. I've got some articles linked that you can read, like, some of it's Illinois specific, some of it's just general use. And Pat, I use the example of DC and Maryland all the time, because the opinions on metadata and how an attorney, what their duties are for the recipient, are diametrically opposed.
That's not uncommon.
Yeah. So it's
here.
But yet so many attorneys are licensed in both states.
Right. They are.
Then it becomes a rule of law or a choice of law issue. And I was doing a program for the University of Maryland Law School, and that's when someone brought up, like, what do we do? And then I had to go to Ellen Rosen at the ABA and go, what do you do? She told me about choice of law, which I didn't even know that existed. So this is a portion where we actually, and for what it's worth, I'm going to show you a Word document so you get a sense of everything that's in the Word document itself and what does translate over to PDF. So it's the same. I mean, you probably have all been aware of it, but I'm going to actually jump into a Word document so you can see what's in it. So the first thing is you've got the hidden text, and then you've got the embedded OLE objects and all that stuff. So let's see. Okay. I'm going to turn off my email now. So you don't have to read it. All right, so here's your normal Word document. And from its face, it doesn't look all that damaging. And this is where you find out things about the document that you may or may not know. So just on its face, it looks like a regular Word document, but there are things in it. I don't know anyone who actually uses it, but you can hide text in a Word document, and the only reason I would think of that someone might do that is if they thought it was a cute way to redact or make something disappear without changing to a new version. But all you have to do to actually see anything is go up and use this paragraph marker that shows hide formatting. And then, so if you'll put your eyes down here, you see there's some text in red. That's hidden text that I created. And you can see it right there. And all you have to do to create hidden text is it's a font. And so I can say hidden, and that hides the text. And when I uncheck the paragraph mark, it's gone. So hopefully no one's being too cute and hiding text, but that's one of the downsides is it hides it, but it's not gone at all. The other thing is, if you've ever heard about people talking about OLE objects as metadata and not entirely understood what that is, this is a chart that I embedded from an Excel spreadsheet. If I right-click on it, I get one of the options is Edit Data. And if I click on Edit Data, it will eventually do something. This is what pops up. So this was the chart that was copied, but in fact it's this whole spreadsheet. So there's a lot more information that someone could glean than what I chose to share with them.
So you're saying by right-clicking on that, they could see that? Okay. Oh, all right.
Yep.
Oh,
so
wow.
and that's because I had an Excel spreadsheet that I copied. I just copied this one chart out of and embedded it into the Word document.
That's interesting.
Then you have your old track changes issues. And this looks like a clean document, and I actually do this a good bit. If I use track changes in a document, I'll look at the final copy because to me track changes is so messy. But if I go to Final Show Markup, then that's when that little markup panel shows up, or you can go look at the reviewing pane over here, and all that stuff pops back up. So there's obviously tons of track changes in this, but it's really easy just to make it kind of disappear if the review pane is off. And so someone who was looking at it in the final version without all the messy track changes may forget that they have them. And then, of course, under File, and this is in Office 2010, so it's same in 2013, slightly different in 2007, very different in 2003. It actually gets better as we go along with each version, but you'll see here it's tracking versions because I have version tracking turned on. And then here's all those file properties that we used to talk about: total editing time, the title. Okay, and this is something to pay attention to. The title of this document, according to the metadata, is Managing Email with Outlook. But if you go back and look, it says Enjoy Email Responsibly. And then if you look, the file name itself is actually metadata in Microsoft Word. So what happened was, this document originally, the first line of text was Managing Email with Outlook. I opened an old document. I made changes to the extent that I even changed the title of the document. But the original documents, the first line of text stayed the same as the title. And then, of course, I changed the file name. So all of that stuff kind of, especially when they take old documents and then kind of use that as a template, and they can change lots of stuff, but some of the stuff just drags along with it. And then I can add comments, but most people wouldn't. Last modified, last created. Now, I created this document from an old document today, so the last modified and created dates show today, this morning. But if people have been working on a document for a long time, these things will have a much longer lifespan. And that's, one of the things. I had this law firm who represented insurance companies just gasp in horror about that, because the insurance company evidently was asking for the native documents in Word with the bill, because they were matching the bill up with who apparently authored it, to look at who was, whether it was a senior associate or a partner billing for it, and the amount of editing time to see if it matched up with the bill. And all
Wow.
this stuff is really easy to change, and it's not necessarily valid, but it's perception. So in my mind, it's just easier to get rid of it than to let it hang around. And then you've got other things under properties. If you go to advanced properties, there's even more stuff. So you've got the location. Normally, location isn't a big deal. However, if you named your client files by the client's name, is that a confidentiality breach if somebody sees that it's in you named the folder by the client name and you just revealed the client's name? I don't think so, because probably if you're passing a document back and forth, everybody knows who the client is, but it's just something to keep in mind. And then you've got the summary stuff. So here's the title and the subject. This document evidently originated back when I worked at the American Bar Association. So I've been dragging this around for a long time. And the company that Word was licensed to stays in there. And then you have all your creative modified access, revision time, total editing time, all that kind of stuff. So that's all the properties of the document that you may or may not want to get rid of. And so the easiest way to get rid of this is in Word 2010 and 2013. You can get
Hang
rid
on a
of
second,
it.
Catherine. How did you get to that in the first place?
Well,
The box
you
that
go
you just
over
closed?
to the File menu, and then over in Properties, go to Advanced Properties.
Okay, thanks.
And that's, like in 2007 and 2003, the Advanced Properties was what you saw. And then they kind of made this pretty little template or little panel over here with kind of some of the properties, but not all of them. And then, obviously every time I mess around with it, it's auto-saving versions, which is useful unless you don't want someone to see it. So getting rid of it, you can go into Protect Document. Actually, no, Prepare for Sharing, and then check for issues under Inspect Document. It wants you to save it. Oh, okay, I added this on my own, and this pops up and this says, this document is being saved with comments and track changes. And the way that you do that is actually in the Options menu. And in Save, hold on, no, of course it's in Advanced. In Advanced, there is a button somewhere that says, tell me if I'm closing or I'm saving this or printing it with track changes and comments. It's just nice to have it just pop up. Oh well, I'll find it. It's in the materials. So when you take this document and you save it to a PDF, for one thing, if you have the markup showing like this, and I go and I say File, Save as Adobe PDF, and we'll look at what moves over. moves over. So obviously, if you could see the track changes and comments in the Word document, when you save it to PDF, it just immortalizes those. It doesn't get rid of them. But that's only if they're visible. So if we go back to the Word document and I just say Final, and then I say Save as PDF, then you get a clean, supposedly clean PDF copy of that document. But what carries over, and again, this is not going to be that big of a deal, but potential, because I use styles in the Word document, it creates bookmarks automatically. So if you, for some reason, didn't want the styles to carry over, just know that it does. And then, of course, in the file properties, it's still got that title, the file name, the author, creation date. So some of this is its own metadata that is created, and some of it is carried over. Okay? And so it's not that big of a deal. Then you can create metadata within a PDF itself. I have a good example of that. So I was one of the peer reviewers for Ernie's Acrobat book. And if you go over and you've had someone commenting on it, all of the comments are still there. And so I can jump to, all of the comments. So you can add metadata to a PDF. So in addition to the file properties that transfer over with Word, then if you actually use the PDF as a review tool, then you got to get rid of this before you send it off to someone, because they don't show otherwise really until you go down to the document. So if there's one really damaging comment down at the bottom, you probably wouldn't notice it's there. So in Acrobat, and this is version 10, which is one version off the current version, you can remove metadata from these as well. And it's under Protection, Remove Hidden Information, and it does an examination of the document. And then you can choose what you consider metadata and tell it what to remove, so you can see that it's got your metadata, and as soon as it runs through, it's still a kind of long document, then you can see what it considers metadata. So these, the file properties, it'll scrub all that stuff for you. If you think the bookmarks are metadata, you can get rid of them. The comments and markup, again, it'll get rid of that in one fell swoop. Hidden text, deleted or cropped content. And that's something that I think people think it might get rid of the content, but you can actually, in the Pages tool, crop content out of a PDF, but it doesn't actually remove the content. It just removes it from view, kind of like that hidden text feature. So you can look through and determine what you want removed, leaving the check marks. But if you think, yeah, I want to keep the bookmarks, you uncheck that, and then you run the remove tool, and it just obliterates all of those things. And one thing that my sharp people in my class always ask is, they see this and they see the sanitize document option. If you sanitize it, it doesn't give you the option to keep the bookmarks or whatever. If you sanitize it, it removes everything. So once you remove what you want to remove, then it gets rid of all the file properties except for the file name and where it lives, because your computer wouldn't know it existed if you got rid of those things. So you can't completely obliterate every single thing, but that's that. So any questions?
Yeah,
you
but
all
it's
know
good.
this, yeah.
In general, or about this PDF?
in general about this topic.
The whole topic of metadata?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do have a question. I want to know why Word came up with the hidden text option.
Oh, I have no idea.
It just seems like, why? What?
I don't know anybody who uses it, but now that when I was reading through about what all the things are considered metadata and the whole hidden text thing, I was like, well, that is convenient. Because if I needed to create, if I needed to just kind of remove some content, but didn't want to create a new version or whatever, I could effectively remove it by hiding it. So that's a weird thing. And then with the PowerPoints, it's got all the same kind of file properties, but you've also got the speaker's notes. So if you and I use speaker's notes in my PowerPoints, so I always have to remember when I send them,
right,
if I send it in native format, that they're going to get the speaker's notes, which you may or may not want to share. And the other thing is when you convert it to PDF, it will ask you if you want to convert your presentation speaker's notes to text annotations. And if you are not paying attention and you say yes, then the resultant file creates basically comments. So if I look in comments, there's all my speaker's notes. Or if I go to the specific slide, I mouse over, and there's my speaker's notes. So they do convert over when you convert them to PDF unless you remember to say no. And again, it's just people get in a big hurry and they forget and they say yes and they just don't read what it says on the screen. So any questions about any of this?
I'll look forward to seeing it again from the YouTube since I disconnected early on.
Oh,
just
okay.
listen.
Will you share your slides, Catherine? You said?
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll send them to you in native format. The other thing that I will show you that Sharon Nelson made me aware of, and this is kind of fun. So I've got all these pictures. And this is actually from the flood that we had, and so I took all the pictures for insurance purposes. But if you have an attorney who's for same thing, say I was perpetuating insurance fraud, now I'm in some sort of thing, there's all this kind of metadata about these pictures that are on my computer. So what kind they are, the date that they were taken, the date that they were created. But if you right-click up here, I can also add things like date modified. So you can see the date that the picture was taken and then the date that I put it here on this drive, and possibly if I had modified it in any way, like this one. So that might be something that, an attorney wants to know is if the client has modified the picture, especially if it's for insurance purposes, as a heads up before they start submitting these things. Then you've also got other information like camera maker, camera location, the location that it was taken if there's a GPS on your phone. So I can put camera make and camera model, get rid of some of this other stuff.
Now I'm learning more than I want to. Now I'm...
Well, and again, this is just,
I'm just joking.
Well, it's not
fascinating.
It's just so they know, so the attorneys know that every bit of electronic information has a trail of metadata with it.
Yeah.
And it's not just the Word and the PDFs. It's the PowerPoints, Excels, and of course all of this. So what I will do is I'll send this whole slide deck to everybody on the list. I'll see if I can get this recording successfully loaded and put a link to it, and then use what you will. If you have questions, let me know. I had a fun. Oh, and the other thing is the other side of this presentation, and it is a little bit more specific to Illinois, but I did how to properly redact, because now in Illinois, we have the federal level e-filing that requires redaction, but we also have now at the state level, Cook County, and is also has e-filing. So now it's important that everybody understand how to properly redact.
This is Reba. I've got a quick question. I get this question a lot, and I've been answering it, and I want to make sure that somebody doesn't know something contrary to what I've been telling people. And that is when you do the track changes. I've seen the same thing when you do final. If they haven't accepted the track changes, then it looks like it's fine. They go ahead and they send it off. The person pulls it up, and it actually defaults to show the track changes. So the person doesn't even have to double check it. But my question is, when you accept the track changes, isn't it true then that you don't have to worry about emailing it to somebody else and having them be able to get into it?
That is true. If you accept all the changes and make sure that you delete any comments that are in there. And the easiest way to do it is in the reviewing pane, because you'll see here it tells you I've got a comment in here. So if you accept all changes and then make sure that you've deleted any comments. So if I jump to a comment, where is my comment? And delete all comments in document, then then it's okay to share. You might want to immortalize it in a PDF anyway, but I'm pretty sure. Or, Rita, the other thing is, if you just go over here and say, check for issues and prepare sharing and inspect document, then that's going to let you remove comments, reversions, versions, annotations, the properties, headers, footers, watermark, any hidden objects, any hidden text, all of that. And it may be easier because it's going to basically accept all the track changes anyway.
Sure. Well, I use Metadata Assistant, which I love, and one of the reasons is because it doesn't rely on human intervention. As long as you set it up so that you set it up properly. Anytime I go to email a document to anybody, it jumps up and has the dialog box that comes up and says, "Do you want to scrub this?" So you don't have to remember to go back and scrub it. So I usually just do it in Metadata Assistant. And
I have Metadata Assistant, and that's actually in that paper, and some of their competitors are listed. I did a little demo of that to show them when you go to email a document, it just says, do you want to scrub this? And you say yes, and it does it for you, and you don't have to think about it. And I totally agree that if you're relying on individuals to remember to do this, it's rife with opportunity for problems.
Absolutely. Anytime you have humans involved, there's an opportunity for a problem.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is, and one of the things that I've been doing here is we're trying to encourage the support staff to come to our training sessions and to watch our how-to videos, and basically for the lawyers to pass this information along to their assistants. Because we had an attorney here disciplined because his assistant e-filed a document and didn't redact anything because they didn't know. And so he got slapped with failing to follow the Supreme Court rules for redaction and for lacking in not supervising his staff. Right. So, I think one of the things that we have an opportunity to do is to remind them, your staff needs to be as fully aware of this stuff as you are.
Right.
Any other questions?
No, that was great, Kathy.
Thanks.
I think that was great.
Thanks, Catherine.
I really appreciate it.
I always appreciate the willingness to share.
Of course, I'm happy to do it, and I will find this little join.me doohickey here, and I will tell it to stop recording, and then I will